What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to Wizards Latest. I'm your host, Ben Robertson, and first off, big thanks to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring the episode. Don't forget to scan that QR code and sign up today. Lots of trade noise to chat about. We'll kind of go name by name through the list. Appreciate all your support here on the page. Do me a favor, hit those like and subscribe buttons as well. Don't forget to drop your comments. Of course, comments from the previous show going to be discussed here at the end of today's episode. Appreciate all your support here on the page once again, you guys. And the Wizards being linked to Zion Williamson. That's the first big name we got to chat about here today. And it's per Josh Robbins. So I know a lot of you guys agree. Anytime, kind of he puts out some news or just an update or even a rumor, I feel like all of us in the Wizards kind of community really respect what he has to say. And I certainly always love trade talk. However, I don't think this one is going down. And I also don't want it to go down. First off, why I don't think it's going down. The speculation is that it's that extra first round pick that could be the carrot the Wizards could dangle to New Orleans and maybe entice them in that trade. They don't really want to give up any of their other young pieces on the roster. But Zion, it seems like the Pelicans are likely, out on here this season. My issue with that is it looks like that extra first rounder is going to come from OKC. And I'm not sure that Will Dawkins, even for a Zion Williamson, is quite willing to part with any first round picks. It's kind of that's what's mostly been reported. And remember where Keyshawn George was drafted, 24th overall. I think that sticks in the mind of Will Dawkins, and I think he believes he can find talent in any part, any place, any selection in the draft. That's why I actually think even if it's a late first round pick, he values it a lot more than people around the league or other GMs around the league might. And I don't think he would include it in a deal for Zion Williamson. Now, here's why I don't want it to happen. I think betting on Zion Williamson to stay healthy for the majority of the next 2 years at $40+ million is just a bad gamble, to be quite honest. Even if he stays on track for this season, even if he stays on track for next season, Zion has just never, ever in his career been a guy that's been able to stay healthy. Let's go through the season games played for his since he was a rookie. 24 as a rookie, then he goes 61 year 2, then 29 games year 3. His career high 70, and then the last two he played 30, and it looks like he's played 29 games so far this year. Could get back on track to that 60-ish game range this season, barring any injuries moving forward. The problem with that is if next year you play 30 and then going into the final year of your contract, you're a guy that's been injured pretty much every season of your career. We're not really sure what we're going to get out of you. It makes you essentially a player that becomes really hard to trade, and you might just have walk out the door for nothing after pretty much just an injury riddled 2 seasons. If the Wizards were, and I realize this is a much different place than where we are now, this is a complete hypothetical I'm throwing out. But if the Wizards were in the Eastern Conference Finals last year, and they felt like they were a piece away from taking that next step, getting into a legit championship contention, I would say, okay, this is a gamble that kind of makes sense. But for where things are right now in the rebuild, this doesn't really seem necessary to me, to be quite honest. It seems like an unnecessary risk, and that's why, frankly, I would stay away from a Zion Williamson. Now, let's jump into another name here. Here, of course, in the trade rumor mill over not just the last couple of weeks, but since the offseason, to be quite honest. And that's Jonathan Kuminga. What's going on with him? Of course, back on the court last night for the Warriors, and looked really good. And frankly, I've seen kind of, honestly, takes both directions on this. But I think that Jimmy Butler injury probably shuts down any Chris Middleton for Kuminga trade ideas the Wizards might have had, and the Warriors have been linked to Middleton really all season, and here's why. For me, Middleton is a guy on a championship or contending team that could kind of come in, maybe give you some spot minutes, hit a few big shots for you in moments, but he's not a certified number two. Frankly, I mean, is he even like a I don't know. Do you even really want him to be your number, four, maybe your fourth, fifth, sixth best option if you're a true contending title looking team? And I don't think Middleton for that Golden State team sitting in the eighth seed right now really moves the needle for them that much. He might be a guy that, again, if you're a legit playoff roster already, can give you a little boost in certain moments. But I think they're going to need Jonathan Kuminga to really step up if they have, any hope or any, chance of really making a playoff push and making a run into the playoffs, which obviously with Golden State, that's always the goal. So frankly, I think they need too much help than just Chris Middleton would give them, especially if they had to give up Kuminga in return, if that makes sense. Now, as a buyout candidate, if Middleton does get bought out, I could still see him fitting there. But for me, because of that Jimmy Butler injury being out for the season, to me, that shuts down any possible Middleton for Kuminga rumors. Let me know your thoughts there. Before I throw out one name, I think currently on the Wizards roster that has, I have to imagine, a pretty good chance of getting traded as this deadline gets closer and closer. Fast breaks, buzzer beaters, and block parties are back, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like points, rebounds, steals, and more. Get your picks right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. For tonight's Indiana-Boston matchup, I'm selecting Derek White for higher than 17.5 points and Pascal Siakam for higher than 6.5 rebounds. Download the app today and use promo code BasketballFan to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code BasketballFan. Underdog, make picks, win money.
Must be 18 plus. 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska. 19 plus in Colorado for some games. 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia. And present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/play and get terms DFSTML for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 helpline at 1-878 or text from 467-369.
So, as we continue through our trade discussions and trade talk here today on the episode, there's one guy currently on the Wizards roster that I would just be really surprised if teams aren't calling about like they were last year, as the trade deadline gets closer and closer. And for me, that's Marvin Bagley. I have to imagine, we're talking about a guy that can help a playoff or contending team. How is Marvin Bagley not that, to be quite honest? The activity, the energy he brings kind of seems perfect to, slide in and with any sort of roster kind of come in and fit and help and bring big energy. And I would say if he was traded, it leaves the team super thin. Wow, super thin at the big men spots, right? Essentially, Tristan Vukcevic is pretty much your backup center, and for me, that's I don't know. That's an interesting recipe because obviously, Vuk super skilled offensively, but I mean, just gives you pretty much nothing on the defensive end, as I've said before. Could kind of be a perfect tank captain to slide into that role, but also, I mean, that might be a recipe for just getting ran off the court some nights when Alex Sarr leaves the lineup. What do you guys think there? Is there anybody else currently on the Wizards roster that you could see other teams making calls about here as the trade deadline gets closer and closer? Let's hop into the comment section real quick here today. LiveRide59 real quick says it'll be fun to see Trey work his magic for a few games and develop chemistry with Sarr, Trey, Keyshawn, Justin, and Bilal. And is it that now? We're heard from yesterday that Will Dawkins expects Trey to play this season. It's going to be reevaluated after the All-Star game, I should say. But there is a plan for him to be on the court this year. The Wizards want him to do that so that, like you said, they can see him with these young core pieces. And for me, we talked about, a carrot dangling. That's kind of, for us as fans, that just seems like just something to be excited about here down the stretch of the year. Obviously, at times this season has been, not just this year, right? It's been tough, even though we understand what's going on. It's not fun to see, a ton of losses year in, year out, right? But for me, that's going to be a real point of excitement because, with Jordan Poole, when you watched him last year, you knew this wasn't like the long-term point guard. You knew this guy wasn't going to be, again, when the Wizards were actually trying to get back to contention, you knew Jordan Poole probably wasn't going to be around. With the Trae Young, I mean, we're actually watching him to see what the play-in prospects could look like next year. Hey, could this be a group that makes a play-in push? And for me, that's going to be something really exciting to kind of see, and kind of something to be excited about here for the rest of this year. Quick question for Multiverse Joe. Did Alex Sarr say he's not playing in this year's Rising Stars matchup, or is that just kind of just speculation based off playing last year and him sort of hoping he becomes an actual All Star? Although it doesn't look like it does not going to get there. It doesn't look like this season. And I also agree with you wholeheartedly. And I want to. He says he's the top center prospect right now. If he gains 15 to 20 pounds, and he will destroy a dozen older centers currently playing. Add Trey Johnson and Keyshawn George into that Rising Stars mix, and also shout out for we're closing in on 750 subscribers here on the page. But to your point about Sarr, again, I think that he's done a good job, and the team clearly has done, about him sort of gradually putting on weight and putting on muscle, because we talked about on the page all the time, you can't do it all at once with that 7-foot frame. You'll end up leading to injuries. But it was obvious when he came into the league, and even going into this year, there was still some size and physicality to be added to his game. And then just answer me that question, if you don't mind, on Sarr in terms of the Rising Stars matchup, because I didn't think I saw anything whether he had committed either way yet, but it could just be, he's not interested in playing in that because, he wants to be an all-star, to be quite honest. And then shout out Kiro Hike 7 for the support here on the page. Shout out to all of you for tuning in. Do me a favor, hit those like and subscribe buttons as well. Don't forget to drop your comments, a chance for your voice to be heard here on the show. And thanks for watching another episode of Wizards Latest.